Everyone already knows the Minecraft mob vote is garbage. Mojang has finally explained the reason behind the drama and controversies over mob votes in our beloved blocky game. Will we have another mob vote this year? Last year, a petition with hundreds of thousands of signatures and the hashtag Stop the Mob Vote urged Mojang to listen to the community. Shall we discuss this now? The mob vote issue begins because each year we're forced to pick from just 3 options. The winning mob is confirmed for a future game update, typically included in the major update announced at the event. The other 2 unchosen mobs are discarded and left aside forever. With that, over all these years, we've obviously lost incredible ideas that even won the hearts of at least half of the community. There have been 5 votes so far, but in 2018 and 2019, Mojang chose a biome vote instead of mobs. In practice, these would be biomes that would receive updates with new features, and each biome would have a specific mob as part of that update. And keeping all this in mind, you can probably guess that one of the first and main criticisms that comes up is, why don't they add all 3 options? Mojang is a multi-billion-dollar company and owns the world's biggest game. Couldn't they try harder? Honestly, it's easy to see why the community is frustrated. For players upset their mob wasn't picked, the vote distribution shows some choices sparked more controversy than others. There have been times when the winning mob got less than 40% of the votes, which obviously created a huge feeling of dissatisfaction since the other 60% of the community didn't want that specific mob, but wanted the other 2. And yeah, anyway, it's pretty lame and we already know that. Life is tough and democracy is flawed. The main criticism is that Mojang appears lazy. Recent updates haven't satisfied many, increasing community dissatisfaction. As a result, several Brazilian YouTubers and streamers often voice their criticisms.
Are you going to vote in the mob vote? I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it something from QSMP? Is it from Minecraft? A new mob is coming and people need to vote for it, right? Is any of them especially scary? What are the options? Mob vote, Minecraft. Meet the Minecraft mobs. Ah, penguin, armadillo. Wow, I thought it was going to be something really... Damn, I thought it was going to be... I expected something really wild, maybe even demons or something. No, I'm not going to vote, I believe. Why doesn't he vote? Why should he? Wow, seriously. Why are they forcing you to vote? For an armadillo? For a penguin? For a guy who put all 3? Does it matter? It's just a random animal. If you're there, you want the 7-winged angel of death in Minecraft and you say, no, wait, do I really want that? That's wild. You're nuts. Do I want that? Should we vote an armadillo?
The issue isn't just that. Mojang intended the mob vote to engage the community and foster participation in company decisions. However, this positive atmosphere is short-lived as the mob vote often leads to attacks and rivalry, as some YouTubers have noted.
And, gentlemen, for many years they managed to divide us. For many years they set us against each other to keep us arguing. No, this one is better because it has this use. No, this one is better because it's cuter. No, that one is useless, and so on. They divided us. They made parents hate their children, made children hate their parents, made siblings hate each other, made cousins hate each other, but not anymore. Not anymore. Because the people have woken up. The people realize that this division they created only benefits them and no one else. The people are actually choosing to have fewer things in the game. Gentlemen, now, in this year of 2023, the community came together and raised the following question. Why not add all 3?
If we look closer, the first Minecraft vote used a very different format than today. Instead of animated videos explaining each mob, they showed 4 concept sketches along with brief descriptions of what each one could do. Yes, you heard right, 4 mobs were on the initial vote list, so the choice was more divided than today's votes. In that historic vote, the 4 mobs were intriguing. First came the barnacle, a squid-like creature from the depths that used its long tentacles to drag players underwater. Then came the phantom, the big winner, described as a creature of nighttime dangers. The phantom was designed to attack players who hadn't slept for 3 or more days. The other participant was the Great Hunger, a huge dinosaur-like beast similar to the sniffer. It could camouflage and consume mobs and items with its huge mouth. Best of all, I think, was the original plan to let players remove enchantments from items, a first for the game and potentially very useful. Lastly, we faced a mini-boss called the Wildfire, which looks like a blaze with big shields for defense. This mob never appeared in Minecraft but did show up in Minecraft dungeons. Each mob vote was close with 3 rounds total. In each case, the Phantom won by just 1, 2, and 4% respectively. And in the end, time is the ultimate judge, and it showed that democracy was wrong, since the Phantom is a pretty boring mob. It's basically the sleep patrol, there's no way around it, and its only use is to drop an item that repairs the elytra, but most of the time it's avoided by all players. And at that moment, the community was pretty peaceful, but the vote was already showing signs that it wouldn't work for much longer. Next in the first biome vote, the options were taiga, savanna, and desert. The desert had date palms, oases, and a meerkat mob. The savanna included baobab trees and mobs of termites and ostriches. And finally, the taiga biome, the winner, brought sweet berries, campfires, and of course our adorable foxes. These elements were added in Minecraft 1.14's Village and Pillage update, which revamped all 3 biomes with new village types. Few remember that Mojang originally promised the other 2 biomes would be added later, but that hasn't happened. Desert with meerkats and savanna with ostriches are still missing from the game. The second biome vote was similar, with badlands, swamps, and mountains as options. Badlands would feature dry grass, flowering cacti, and vultures, while swamps would have boats with chests, mangroves, and a frog. Mountains would add snow, better terrain, and a goat. As you know, mountains won by a narrow margin. And in this case, they partially kept their promise, since, as you may have noticed, the swamps were recently reused in the Wild update, bringing frogs and mangroves. Until then, the community was more satisfied with biome votes than mob votes, since we were promised losing options would return in future updates, plus we'd still get new blocks, resources, and a new mob. But all this mob vote drama would come back again the following year when we had, once again, a mob vote. We could choose between Mobloom, Isologger, and Glowsquid on that occasion. The yellow cow would be found in flower forests and would interact with bees as well as introduce a new flower. The Isologger would be a tough wizard variant of villagers with ice powers and unique behaviors. The Glowsquid, known for glowing, was originally just meant to light up dark areas, essentially an LED squid. And as you know, democracy is a mistake. Before the vote, Dream, the biggest Minecraft YouTuber, urged his huge fanbase to vote for the LED squid, which many considered a joke. It turns out the joke got out of hand and the squid actually won, which for me and pretty much the whole community just shows how easily votes can be sabotaged. And after that controversy, the next vote was between the glare, the copper golem, and the alley. And in this case, let's be honest, all 3 options were pretty underwhelming. I liked the copper golem most because it would give us copper buttons and could use them. A mini golem that uses buttons could enable impressive redstone farms. Alley won because it's cute, can fly, and people thought it would be like a walking hopper. Yes, the community thought it would be used for item transportation, but today we know it can only carry 1 item at a time, so it's completely useless. This vote was mainly criticized for lacking an interesting mob. Unlike previous votes where people complained about their mob not being chosen, this time most felt indifferent. The vote was forgettable, with a disappointing winner. The next vote featured the Sniffer, Tough Golem, and Rascal. The Rascal was an underground mob that played hide and seek, rewarding you if you found him 3 times. The Tough Golem was a small stone golem that walked around carrying items, acting like a moving display stand for decorations. The Sniffer was the main winner, introduced as an ancient, mystical creature. You can find its eggs and revive the Sniffers. It was the most intriguing and developed mob. This vote showed us that a stronger mob can make all the difference. And Mojang apparently got it right this time because almost everyone was satisfied with the choice. Since not everyone learns from mistakes, the next vote changed again. This contest featured 3 real animals, armadillo, crab, and penguin. Currently, we know that the armadillo won because it brought armor to wolves. The penguin, on the other hand, was practically irrelevant since it only sped up boats. Meanwhile, the crab in the mangroves had an interesting drop, its claw, which lets players build and break blocks from farther away, like a mechanical arm. Mod users know how helpful this is for building and player versus player, depending on the possible distance. Naturally, the community was divided on this vote. The builders backed the crab for its usefulness, while others favored the armadillo for its emotional appeal in protecting their wolves. Veterans wanted new building tools, while newer players preferred enhancing their pets' abilities. And all of this just highlighted a strong debate about the voting format, with many people asking why not all 3. There was a huge uproar in the community about how Mojang should consider changing the voting system, and that's where we got so many clips of members of the Brazilian community complaining.
Speaking of which, guys, about this mob vote thing, I saw a clip of Selbo saying they should add all 3, and I stopped to think for 4 seconds. Why don't they just add all 3? Man, I don't know much about programming, I don't know much about Minecraft, I've just been playing the game for 12 years. Minecraft releases one update a year, one big update per year. They have 12 months to make the mobs. If it was a complex mob that would completely change the whole architecture of the game and add new elements and systems, something super complex, I would understand. But like a crab that randomly explores on the sand and increases the distance you can place blocks, the armadillo, which is a little shield, armor for the wolf, you know? The penguin, which just swims, like why don't they add all three? In my opinion, I think it's... I don't know. Me and my friends who play Minecraft, as we talk about it, even with Mike, I think it's just bad management from Mojang's own team, man.
Some Mojang developers even briefly responded to this in tweets, but those were quickly deleted. If I remember correctly, a developer said adding things to Minecraft was very bureaucratic, making it hard to approve good ideas. Still, Mojang gave an official response in June this year.
Choose between them, and they say they don't want to. They want all three, because they don't want to lose the possibilities. And I think the problem is that it seems like we already have all three ready to use. They've already been designed, they've already been coded, they're already fully refined features. We're waiting to press the button on one, then discard the other two.
Adding anything to a game is super complex. It needs to fit into the ecosystem, it needs to go into the whole system, it needs to make the gameplay interesting in some way, right?
We need to achieve a certain quality in all the different ways to play, like if you play on console, touch, PC, Bedrock, and Java. So it's a lot of process and work.
We're passionate, we love this game too, and we're part of the community. We know what it's like, and we're not doing anything just to ruin people's day or make them anxious. We're trying to make the best game we think it needs to be, to fit with the vision we have. But all those things, like why not everyone, like commenting everywhere and making petitions, all those things. That passion shows people care about what we're doing. That's what I love most about the Minecraft community. It's all because they love the game.
And well, one thing we know is that they are actually paying attention to the community's noise and they understand all the issues and all the drama behind the Minecraft mob votes. Personally, I think that even though this explains why they don't release all three mobs, there's still plenty of time to develop a single update per year. In my opinion, if they organize themselves, it would be possible to add all three mobs, especially considering that some are much more relevant from a gameplay perspective than others. No matter how strict Mojang or how much bureaucracy, this is the world's biggest game. Honestly, I just can't accept this. These multimillionaires run a huge company, yet a single person at home eating Cheetos can make a mod for the game just as well. Like the Ether mod, which has always been in the hearts of players and was definitely made by a much smaller team than Mojang's. In the case of the wolf armor, for example, when it first appeared in the snapshots, it absorbed less than 30% of the damage, which meant that wolves were still getting killed by creepers, for example. Mojang took community feedback, so the armor is now extremely durable. Let's hope the company keeps listening and the mob vote offers better options this year.